Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
All right, guys. I didn't say you started.
Well, you go. Just keep rolling. Keep rolling. What?
All right, Jaggernaut Podcast. Here we go. This is starting out
30.
much worse than the Jaguars started out. We actually started out pretty good in that Eagles game.
That's right, 14-zip.
And then the wheels fell off.
And then we introduced Philadelphia to Trevor Lawrence, who seems to be Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, not the best game. Record-setting game, I hear. He was very record-setting.
And and so the Jaguars have set so many negative records, so many shitty records you don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
We thought for sure different Jaguars. Look at this. I mean, we're shutting people out. We're a different team. Trevor Lawrence says, hold my beer.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Well,
you know what? I think I'm just going to roll with it because, maybe he doesn't deserve for me to know his name. We all know how I get on those guys. So.
Yeah. Well, you don't know people's names. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, 5 damn turnovers.
Yeah,
I don't know what hurt worse, man. What hurt worse?
Okay.
Any one of the turnovers or the overthrow to Agnew?
Okay, point one. Here we go. 5 turnovers, and we only lost by 8. Is that a moral victory?
No. No. We've said time and time again, there are no moral victories in the NFL.
Yeah.
If we allow this team to have moral victories, if we say,
right,
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
They're going to assume that it's okay. Have you listened to any of our local media?
Well, let's clarify one thing. So we don't dictate to them how they feel necessarily, but I get your point. They can't feel that way where it's somehow okay because, and Josh Allen said as much or said something similar, which makes me, so that'll be something to figure or to watch, because Josh Allen basically said we were the better team. Now, depending upon how you take that, it could mean, moral victory, or it could mean we are a good team. We just have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. So I hope it's the second and not the first.
Man, okay, so I can sort of agree with that because for the first quarter, we looked like the better team.
Yeah.
But, literally, we were a 14-zip. We got a pick 6. So our defense looked good. We took the ball. Granted, on our first series, I don't necessarily blame that on Lawrence. I blame that on Kristen Kirk. All of a sudden, he had a case of the dropsies. And
then the first series?
Well, you weren't there for the first series.
Oh, right.
So that was the first series. So then we punted. Then we got the ball back. Then we marched down the field and scored. Boom.
Well, imagine, 14. Let's just get 14-0. We all know how we got there. 14-0. Then we know what happened once Lawrence had the first fumble. But remember, before that, there was wasn't it? Yeah, because I think he had just before that missed Agnew on that bomb.
On the deep one. Yep.
Yeah, so could you imagine if he'd have actually caught Agnew in stride and not overthrown him, we'd have been up 21-0.
And at that point, that changes. That's a different game.
A whole different game.
That's a different game. Philly has to play differently.
Yeah. And then And here's the thing, what is interesting to me about this season so far is this game is eerily similar to the Commanders game. And after the Colts and the Chargers, you sort of felt like week one jitters out of the way kind of thing. That's the way I was thinking. It's like, okay, the, new coaching staff, new players getting used to stuff, blah, 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 on the road, blah, blah, blah. And so you give them a pass, kind of. It's like because we see first week in the NFL, oftentimes, weird things
It's a screwy
happen.
week. Yes,
it is.
It is a very screwy week.
And then you come out with the Colts and you shut them out, and you think, oh my gosh, maybe this is the team that we were hoping for, and then the Chargers. And so now, and it's disconcerting at this point that this game felt so similar to week one. Is it possible that it's just a young team and that this could actually be sort of a benefit to it's sort of a reality check, maybe, where they too maybe hyped up on their, everybody's giving them accolades all of a sudden. We went from Jaguars, and we all know what that means, to all of a sudden it's, oh, this is some different team. And then they're like, yeah, we're good. And then they go in and they look good. I mean, they did look good. And then all of a sudden they didn't look good.
Yeah, but that's just it. Does a good team look like this?
Not 50% of the time.
That's exactly
not
right.
50%.
So we're not a good team.
No, I think that's fair.
We're in the middle. I think we're exactly where our record says we are. We are a 50-50 team.
Yeah.
I think every now and again we are going to come out, we're going to raise some hell, and we're going to look good. I think every now and again, Dr. Lawrence, Dr. Jekyll Lawrence, Hyde Lawrence, whatever you want to call him, he's going to show up and he's going to go, raw, interception, raw, fumble, raw, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, why? Was it the weather? Was it really the weather? Frank, I mean, what do you think? Does it really?
Okay, and here, well, you never want to make excuses, right? Just like you don't want to go moral victory. You don't want to say that. Was it the weather? The weather had a role in the game for sure. Here's the problem: the other team played in that weather too, and it didn't seem to bother them that much. They seemed to be able to weather the storm of the Jaguars.
At the same time, dealing with the weather.
That's right. Now here's the we'll play devil's advocate or whatever you want to call it to say, we are dealing with humans, and there's the elements of just everything going on. This was the second road game in a row, and we did just deal with a hurricane, and by that I mean not necessarily the the effects of the hurricane like down south, but preparation
down south to practice.
Yeah, the practices would have been different. All that stuff.
Practice in Orlando this week. Get used to a wet ball.
That's the other thing too. It is, we can't have this because it rains, because this is Jacksonville, Florida.
It rains
here. So yeah, that's the bad part about it. Like, again, you can't only go so far with the rain.
Mother with a water hose. How do you like this? Shoot him and Jawan Taylor.
Yeah.
I've cut both of
them. Who did you cut with Jawan? Trevor?
Trevor. They're on my cut list.
The cut list. Dude,
I wouldn't actually cut them. I wouldn't actually cut them.
I know.
It just means they had a horrible game. Horrible game.
Jawan Taylor went from not having given up one pressure for 3 games.
He played very well, yeah.
And from what I understand, and this does ring true to a certain extent, the offensive line didn't have a bad game. But like everything else, it just was this weird. So you get past the just center snap exchange, running with the football fumbles, and then all of a sudden he cannot stop Hassan Reddick for. I almost felt like there was no difference in just Hassan Reddick running without anybody there as there was with Jawan Taylor being there. Like Hassan Reddick got there so fast, it felt like to me. I don't, and for what the cut list, I would seriously consider starting Walker Little at this point. I don't think they will, but
I don't think
I love the idea of sending a message, and I'm a little concerned that so if you're, and I don't know who the Texans defensive end is, but I'm seriously watching what Hassan Reddick did to Jawan Taylor, and I'm going to use that. Whatever, there's like at one point was the bull rush, and he just pushed. Hassan Reddick's not even big. How did he push him back like that?
Dude,
I don't get it, man.
Dude, the Texans have went and they've already dissected the Philly game, and we're going to see some of those looks. We're going to see some of those plays that Philly used, and they're essentially going to run some of that, and they're going to say, let's see if we can do it. They're going to dare us to stop this stuff. Now, my thing with Jawan Taylor, so he has 3 good games, one piss poor game.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'd put it at. I'd keep him in the lineup and I'd start him. Unfortunate. I know he's on my cut list, but that just simply means he had a crappy game.
Right.
If he falters in this game and he becomes that turnstile, in this game I bench his ass. And then I put in Walker Little, and then I play until Walker Little gets benched. And that's what I do. That's what I do. Because I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want him to watch all the offensive linemen watch this guy suck. I want everybody to look at it and say, you sucked in this game. You suck in another game, I'll yank your ass and I'll put in somebody else. The problem is Trevor Lawrence sucked in this game. We can't yank him and put in somebody else.
Right.
So what do you do with that?
That's a fair point. You don't want to become that guy where, this is the rule except for that guy. He's Trevor Lawrence, so he that never, that overall, that could leave it, you don't want to be inconsistent in regards how you treat your players.
I'm not even sure as a coach is that if the Texan game starts to go bad, and I mean go bad, and Jawan Taylor has something to do with it, and Trevor Lawrence has something to do with it, because both of them basically combined to form tankage, and they tanked us in that Philly game. If they start to tank us in Houston or Houston here in the Houston game, we pull them both, and we put C.J. Beathard in, and then we put Walker Little in, and then we sit them down and say, "What the hell?
Yeah,
you guys want to play?"
Yeah, the only caveat to that, or the only comeback to that, I would say, is that typically you only have so much practice time, and you're getting the first team reps in with Trevor. If it's the only thing I could imagine is that we're so behind, and when that happens, you're just thinking you're doing it to keep Trevor from getting hurt, So does it even solve the lesson? Because if there's a chance to come back, if it's been bad, but there's a chance to come back, do I think a C.J. Beathard without first team snaps is going to have an opportunity to bring you back? I don't know. I would roll with Trevor still.
Okay, so I agree. Here's what I will say. If Trevor cannot get it through his damn golden locks, that he has to hit Agnew more than he misses him, you're not going to be our quarterback.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what we saw in the game. There's a couple things I wanted to bring out. First of all, we did the pregame We talked about how this was going to be a test. This is going to be an opportunity. And I think that we learned something about our team. I think it's a young team. I think our defensive line isn't as good as what we thought it showed, what we showed in the Chargers and the Colts game. Either that or the Eagles' offensive line is really, really good. I think
it's a fair combination of both.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the reality of it. The ability of the Eagles' offensive line to basically run the game plan, keep us from it was that plus good coaching. The scheme they ran, I think our linebackers were in fear of Hurts' ability to run. It opened up lanes for Sanders. I think they just didn't move as much as they should have. I think they were frozen in a certain respect. And when they moved wrongly because they were in fear of Hurts escaping out the side, and then all of a sudden Sanders goes up the middle on them. I think that if Caldwell's going to have to get with the guys, they're going to have to be willing to risk having the defense gain or having the offense gain yards on them, because the offense was gaining yards on them because they were unwilling. Because I felt like they played fearful. The defense played fearful to me, and it caused the offense to gain yards. So just go and be dynamic. Like, you're going to have offenses make plays on you. There's no question about it. They're going to do it. So I think that for me, what I saw and what I'm taking away is Caldwell has to say, look, we got to play our game. We can't let the offense dictate to us how we play our game. And these linebackers can't get caught peeking in the backfield, making assumptions about running quarterbacks, because this is a league filled with running quarterbacks now. If the quarterback's going to run, they have an advantage. You're going to have to make them pay when they run. You're going to have to make them, you got to pick your poison. You can't play this game where you're sitting back waiting for them to make moves, and that's what I felt like we were doing.
But hold on, Frank. So I'll agree with you, okay? I'll agree with you because that's exactly what it looked like. They were able to gash us whenever they wanted. They simply just ran the ball, and we didn't have an answer for it. Nobody, none of our defensive line, none of our linebackers had an answer for any of it. Here's my question. If we go up by 21, which we should have, but Trevor Lawrence screwed us on that, does it change the way outcome of the game?
Yeah.
What about that one pass where he threw it to Christian Kirk late and fluttery and it got intercepted? There's another turnover that probably shouldn't have been thrown. Okay. Again, what about any one of the three fumbles or four fumbles? My deal is I'm not necessarily sure that our scheme was that bad. I think it was executed poorly, but I also think the execution started to decline the longer we were on the field. And I think we were on the field longer because Trevor Lawrence put us there.
Well,
you see, I'm saying it's all reciprocal.
Yes.
And it all goes back to that.
I agree with that, but we covered that. Like Lawrence, and I'm just moving on to a different aspect of the game. There's no question the game would have been different. The defense, and that's a great point, actually, because what has happened here is our defense got exposed because they were not in the same position that they were in during the Chargers and the Colts game. So when we needed them to stop the run because the Eagles had all the momentum, they'd scored, they were moving the ball, not at will, by the way. They just gashed us multiple times in the run. The thing is that when we needed them to come back, they weren't able to pin their ears back, right? So what happened was they played pensive. They played passive. That's what I'm getting at. The scheme itself that the Eagles played scared them. Like they were defensive, and of course it's kind of awkward to say the defense ought to be offensive, but you kind of have to be. You have to be willing to let Hurts run. Not let him run, but you have to understand he's going to pick his spots. You can't be so worried about it that you're not actually dealing with the running back who has the ball, because you think, well, does Hurts have the ball? And the point is it's kind of basic stuff. Who has the ball? If we can't figure that out, that's something in addition to everything. Like, sure, that'll get covered up, and it won't be an issue for our defense if they can just pin their ears back and feel a little bit more confident. One goes hand in hand with the other. They were less confident. They were worried about stopping the avalanche of points because our offense wasn't going to do it. That they failed to actually do the basics, I think, at that point. They just failed to do basic things like gap integrity. They were peeking at Hurts and worried about him, and I think that was an issue. Here's the other thing. The criticism came in regards to offense that we didn't run the ball enough. What's your thoughts on that? A lot of people are going, we should have run the ball more.
I can sort of see that. I mean, if you want to say that, say that. I don't think we had a problem moving the ball either way. I think our problem was the same thing we've already covered. You know, James Robinson should have lost the fumble. Right? We got lucky with that one.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows that James Robinson disappeared for basically the entire second quarter and a little bit of the third. You know why? Because he lost the football. So he got benched. That's why you have ETN on there in a 3rd and 1 instead of James Robinson, who's more of your power back.
Well, that's coaching. You don't do that.
So
they didn't bench Trevor. Did they bench Trevor?
No, because what you just said, what are you going to do? You're going to put in CJ Beathard, who got no practice time?
No, I agree, but why do you put ETN in for a 3rd and 1, for a 3rd and short, when you have James Robinson, when that's more his game than it is? They got Jermichael Hasty out there running.
Yeah, I don't.
And he played well. I mean, when he was out there, it was fine.
I don't have any issues with him benching Robinson.
I do.
To teach him a lesson, because you got to learn that lesson, dude. You can't do that. We are the damn Jacksonville Jaguars. You cannot do that. If you want to win the game,
I think he knows you can't do that. I think he knows you. Okay, so then we benched Jawan Taylor.
I was cool with that. I already cut him. I cut him. Yep, in the beginning. Dude, I mean, I'm just saying, because we are who we are, we have to play almost flawless. Because we are not good enough. We are not good enough to overcome the team we're playing plus our mistakes.
Well, I agree with that, but I think that if you're going to if you're going to bench your best players when they fumble, except for Trevor, I think you're limiting yourself and Trevor and everybody else. I don't think that that's a positive.
Do you think he got benched? Nobody else is really talking about this.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
I seem to remember him disappearing after the fumble.
Oh, he disappeared. Yeah, there's no question. I can't argue the point. I mean, it's definitely possible that that's what happened. I hate to think that, because that's eerily reminiscent of the Urban Meyer experience.
Sort of. I mean,
not sort of.
No, Urban Meyer was in love with what's-his-face, who was horrible.
Carlos Hyde. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Well, yes, I understand that, but I don't know, man. It's just if you want to use ETN because you want to take advantage of his speed, that's one thing. But if you want to use ETN and Jermichael Hasty because you want to teach James Robinson a lesson, that's a totally different thing. That isn't. I hope he didn't get benched for that reason, because that seems like I don't know. For everything that they say about being treated like professionals and this sort of thing, I just think, like, for exactly what we said, you're not going to bench Jawan Taylor because you're not going to bench Trevor Lawrence. And so if you're going to bench Robinson in the game, then you are doing that treatment where Robinson has to play a perfect game. Meanwhile, Trevor can set the record for the amount of turnovers, and he ain't going to lose his job. So you do have that inequity going on.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way the NFL is.
But
and it's funny. It's funny. These guys, it's funny you bring that up.
Multiple fumbles, okay, but one fumble.
Treat us like professionals, but don't call us out when we suck.
It's okay. He fumbled once in the rain, Mike. He doesn't have that reputation. That's the thing that's weird. So if he got benched for that, that doesn't make sense.
Do the Jacksonville Jaguars have the team of screwing up? Is that their reputation?
Yeah, and the quarterback did all that, except for one time.
And I agree. Is fumbling a screw up, a self-inflicted screw up?
Yes, of course it is. Or sometimes players make plays, man. Okay, let's go back to the Trevor. Now, I dog Trevor. I'm going to defend him a little bit on that interception. Okay? Much like what I was talking about with our defense sometimes has to play aggressive. You can't be defensive. You can't be passive and always react. Okay? You have to react. You have to attack. What happened with Trevor was he saw a guy open. Now, I'm not saying it was but it wasn't as bad. He didn't throw to a guy that was covered. He saw the way that route was set up was the guy I forget who he threw it to. Was it Kirk?
It was Kirk.
So he threw it to Kirk because Kirk's man was not there. Okay, the guy who made the interception was on, and I don't know who was running the other route.
Marvin Jones.
Okay, so that's just a good play by the defensive guy. Once you release it, you probably see him coming back and you go, oh, crap. But
so, I mean, I'll agree with you that it wasn't necessarily a poor decision. But it wasn't the best decision.
No, not when you had
not when you had Agnew coming out of the backfield. Okay. And you threw it late and you threw it slow. So
I don't know about that last part.
You make you make the wrong decision and you do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Usually ends in bad consequences.
And fair enough. But I think, too, sometimes when I don't know that throwing bullets in the rain is the recipe for success either. Sometimes you need a touch pass, especially when you think the guy's wide open and, which is what I think at the time as he was releasing it is what he thought. I think instantly he regretted it. But it wasn't a complete bonehead decision in my opinion.
And to make matters worse, we might have been able to come back from that.
We would have if we hadn't fumbled the ball and all the other stuff.
That's been the only one. All right, I'm done with this.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else you want to go on about this game with?
Yeah, just before the last thing I can think of is while we're on the offense, and this is in line with what we're talking about. I felt like the Philly defense believed in their secondary. They loaded up the box. They wanted us to run. They knew we were going to run. So in regards to people complaining about the amount of runs, I think in Peterson's defense, he's actually trying to take what the defense is giving him. In this respect, though, what that means is Philly's kind of loading the box, and they're forcing you to go over top because they don't think either you're not going to have enough time to do it, or two, you're going to be inaccurate when you throw the ball. So when you have the opportunities, you got to catch the ball. And when you add all that together, so this is all a big recipe for disaster, basically, is what we saw.
Oh, this is the Jacksonville Jaguars stew.
When the Eagles pressed up, they're basically forcing you to make, if you're going to make intermediate passes, they're forcing you to make really crisp, good passes. When you do it, you got to catch the ball. And that's the other thing that we saw was guys, whatever reason, I don't know why, the rain, Did the Eagles
Blame
drop
it
passes?
on
I
the
didn't see that,
rain.
but maybe they dropped one. I don't remember.
Oh, that's what we could call them. Milli Vanilli and blame it on the rain. Woo!
Yeah. All right, but that's the last thing I've got to say about that. And I think we covered that's pretty much the reason we lost the game. I mean, obviously the turnovers, but everything just, you can't. It's like just give us one of those things and maybe we can win that game,
Yeah, and I agree with that. So maybe it at least would have been a lot closer than what it was. Who knows? All right, we got Houston, the Houston Texans. Now, in case you guys don't know, Houston treats us like we treat the Colts.
Right.
For some reason, Houston has picked us to be our rivals. We have not picked Houston to be our to be our counter rivals for whatever reason. Maybe we should, because they love to come in here and smack us around. When we go to Houston, it's Battle Red Day. Well, guess what? They're coming in this weekend. Frank, based off of last week's game versus Philadelphia, same old Jags lose to Houston. Houston hasn't won, and they're having a hard time.
Right.
What do these Jags do? Are these the same old Jags or are these different Jags?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I want to believe that the team that we saw in the Colts and the Commanders game is the team that we are going to see against the Texans. But this is going to be a kind of a litmus test game, and it's weird because I know we kind of said that with the Philly game, but the Philly game was more of a litmus test in regards to whether or not we've arrived as a team to be reckoned with in the upper echelon of teams, right? Whether
this litmus test is whether we're just the same old crappy Jags.
Exactly, because the same old Jags will do the same old thing, and we will get beat by a team that's inferior. And the Texans many times have been inferior to the Jags, and it has not mattered. I mean, we're going all the way back to when, like, the David Carr days, when we should have been, when we were actually an okay team and they were terrible, they still beat us all the time.
Oh.
So, it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah, I mean, so they're 0-4, right? And they tied with the Colts in week 1, 2020. They lost to the Broncos, a Broncos team that I don't think is very good. They got even worse when they lost their running back. But anyway, 16-9. That's a horrible score. Then the Bears. How do you lose to the Bears? The Bears have not even figured out how to pass the football. Like, they don't know how to throw the football. They don't
know what a pass is.
Yeah, they've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
And they lost 23-20. And then the Chargers. Okay, the Chargers, I give it to them. Chargers were supposed to be a good team. The Chargers, for all intents and purposes, are a good team still. 24-34.
Yeah.
They don't they're not really that scary. Like, they're averaging 240 yards per game passing. That ain't nothing.
They can't stop the run, which makes it.
Yeah, surprisingly, they're much better against the pass than they are against the run.
Right.
So I was wondering about that. Like, why do you think that is? Why is the team better against the pass than the run? The run should be easier, right?
If I have to guess, it's because most people don't see what happens and this is where it comes back to the argument about people going, we should have ran more. What happens in this league is when you're ahead, you run. When you're behind, you pass. So if you never catch back up, you tend to have a lot of passes. If you're leading the game, you tend to have a lot of runs. So what that means is when you're comfortable, you run. And so maybe what it is a number of teams come into the game feeling comfortable because it's the Texans and the roster isn't a great roster. They're not supposed to be that great. So maybe they're confident. the other teams are, and they run more. So it could be, I don't know the numbers, but it'd be interesting to see, do teams run more against them? Is it a scenario where it's just the average is high, or is it that teams are actually running more a little bit, than average against them than they would? I would suspect that that's part of it, But here's the deal. Miles Sanders hasn't had an amazing game until he met the Jaguars.
Until he played Jacksonville, yep.
So and I'm getting a little tired of other teams being the other team's remedies. I see it all the time. So are we the same old Jags? Well, this is one litmus test here, a microcosm.
If we're Houston's remedy, dude, we are damn sure the same old Jags.
They are. If we go into this game and we're not able to run the ball, there we go. We're same old Jags, man.
Same old Jags.
Because, if everybody else is running the ball and they go, we finally can stop the run. It's like, I see it all the time. Miles Sanders has an amazing, we make Miles Sanders look like Walter Payton.
Walter Payton, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, man. That is what's scaring me the most. It's almost why I wish we would have won in Philly, is because then I would have been like, even if we lose the Houstons, we're not the same old Jags.
Right.
We technically are, but we're not.
Right.
Now that we've lost, dude, I'm scared. I'm scared shitless.
It's like a slide's coming.
Yeah, it's like, here we go again.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Okay, so
Sorry.
That's fine. Let's be optimistic, though. What happens if we win? If we come out of this game, let's just say it's a win. I don't know how we win. Kind of irrelevant. It's a in-division game. You don't tend to see what happened with the Colts. Usually they're tight. So let's say we win just a general game. What are you feeling about the team? What do you think you'll be feeling about the team?
I'll be feeling good. If we run well, we don't have to run great, but we have to run well.
Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence looks good, he doesn't have to be immaculate, but hit the easy shit. When you got a guy wide ass open, drop it in the bucket, right? I mean, just do the best you can, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Who's their rookie running back? I don't remember his name. Do you remember? Pierce?
No, it's Harris something. I thought it was Harris. It wasn't Damian Harris, but it's somebody else.
Okay, well.
I don't know. The only reason I remember I think it's Harris is because I kept getting him confused with the guy in New England.
Okay, but it doesn't matter because he's had a couple really good games in a row.
Against a defense that just got basically destroyed by Philadelphia. Now the difference is that their quarterback isn't a running quarterback. He can run, but he's not a running quarterback.
That's where I was heading. Yes, good. That's a great point. Because of what I said in regards to what I think happened to our defense, this technically on paper we should not have that same problem. We should be able to.
Dameon Pierce.
Okay. We should be able to go after and not worry about, was it Mills?
Yeah, Sam Mills.
Davis Mills. Shouldn't have to worry about Davis Mills and the RPO and the run. We shouldn't have to worry about that. So we can focus on Dameon Pierce and actually stop the run, hopefully. And if we can do that, then we can be a good defense again. But like I said, I'm worried if we get to these teams that have running quarterbacks, they're going to have to figure that out. They can't get caught flat-footed. They got to be willing to just get hit every now and again by the quarterback coming out of the backfield. It happens. That's the advantage a quarterback has that can do that.
Yeah.
So
but if we do win, we're 2-0 in the division. We're still leading. We're still in the lead in the division.
Yeah.
We become 2-0 in the division, which is huge.
Huge. Real huge.
Yeah. I mean, and we haven't done that in quite a while. It will be nice to have that. That means what we turn around, we play Indy again pretty damn soon in Indy. I know that we will not. If we could, I guess if we can go 2-3 out of this, so we're 2 wins, 1 loss. I had them losing to Indy, but maybe we can shut Indy down in Indy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because we don't play the Titans until basically the last quarter. I think it's like the last quarter of the season. All of a sudden, we got Titans, and I'm
Well,
like, what?
yeah, it's weird. Well, and here's the thing too. It was an awkward schedule when we looked at it. I noticed that too. But what could happen is if we do win this game and we can, and we're not going to go on this slide, and we can become a team that has confidence and begins to understand who they are on offense and defense, then we're meeting the Titans. I feel better about our chances about dethroning them out of the AFC South title at this point, because we'll have had all these other games under our belt before we have to match up with these guys. Because as we know, we don't match up with these guys very well usually. So
they just come in here and smack. I mean, they just come in here and smack us around.
Mouth.
Yeah, they just come look at us. They punch us right in the nose, and Derrick Henry goes off for 92 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, and if I'm them, I'm gonna be putting Tannehill. I'm gonna be running Tannehill out of the pocket the week before they play us, just to show Tannehill's running around. Because
I'm not doing that. I'm waiting until we play. Then I'm running Tannehill. And I'm be like, look what Tannehill's doing.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing that killed us. It wasn't Hurts running. It was just Hurts' threat to run. He really didn't run on us. It was basically Sanders, and that's what I didn't like about it, was the fear of having something happen. You just allow the other thing to happen. You allow them to run the basic offense on you because you're not worried about the improvisational aspect of the quarterback. Make him improvise. If he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. You got to hope your guys can react. And again, that's one thing that I think the defense needs to work on. I mean, the hope is obviously that we're not going to have a quarterback that's going to start just dropping the ball all over the field. We're just hoping that this is just an aberration and just a weird game.
Well, I agree, but I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, this game now means something. 1, it's a division game. 2, it's a conference game. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be the same old Jags, you win this game.
This is a bad team. It's as far as NFL team, it's an NFL team. You don't take anything for granted. But in regards to you being a team that we think they are, they have to win this game. That's just how it is.
You beat the Texans.
They're at home too, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, so, and this is a fair thing to say too. We've had 4 games. 3 of them have been on the road, and they're 2-2. That's not that bad. So if you're now at home, okay, win this game. And the last game you were at home, you didn't even allow that team to score. Win the game.
We're not asking for that. We're just asking for a win.
Win the game.
Stop the run and win.
Yep, they're not a dynamic team.
Now,
they're not. There shouldn't be anything.
It's not windy. Let's hope it's not stormy. We need.
I didn't even think about the weather.
We need good weather.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just simply it. So what this game does is it really sets the stage for this Texans game. We've got to get this game under our belt. We cannot be their remedy. We got to stop that. Can't be everybody's bye week.
Well, we've been that.
That's what I mean. You can't do that, man.
We've definitely been the easy one at the office, if you know what I mean. The slump buster. You need a slump buster? Come to Jacksonville. Woo!
Yeah. But this looks like a different team. Regardless, it was an odd game.
We hope so anyway.
Put it behind us.
If they are a different team, they'll show it. And they'll show it in this game. So that's the best we can hope for, Frank.
I think that concludes the program for tonight. So if you would, please like and share.
I'm not giving them a Duval.
No Duval?
No Duval. They ain't earned it.
All right, fair enough.
And I feel bad. Some of them did. Agnew played well. You
Yeah.
know, Cam Robinson played well.
A lot of them played well. Just like you said, it was an odd game. So we'll put it behind us and we'll move on to the Texans.
That's right. And this game matters.
Until then, we'll see you next show, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.